Hi everyone, welcome back to Maths Hub. In today's video, we will be talking about all the changes and the updates to the GMAT exam. Yes, the GMAT has evolved. If you already haven't heard about it, it's called the GMAT Focus Edition. We will be covering everything you need to know about the GMAT Focus Edition. Let's get started. If you don't know what the GMAT stands for, it's the Graduate Management Aptitude Test. The GMAT is an exam that aspirants of MBA colleges, either abroad or even in India, give in order to get admission into those colleges. It's very similar to the common admission test or the CAT that the Indian students prepare for the IIMs and other colleges in India, management colleges. So the GMAT older format was slightly different from the new format, and this new format called the GMAT Focus Edition is going to replace the older format starting Feb 1st of 2024. It's been available for about 3 months now, but it will be completely replacing it starting February 1st. So from Jan 31st onwards, you will not be able to take the old format anymore. It has a more focused syllabus. It's more relevant to current business scenarios and the environment and the landscape of AI and other evolutions that we are in. It also has a new section specifically for that purpose. It is also pretty much more test taker friendly than the older exam. We'll cover more about that. Except for this one part where we are going to be penalized for the unanswered questions. So if you don't answer all the questions within the given time frame, you will be incurring a slight penalty for that. Apart from that, every other change is pretty positive for the test takers. So why this new exam? The main reason is that it's been about 10 years since the old format of the exam, and most people have understood how to crack the exam. Most people, as well as a lot of institutes, are able to do really well on the exam, so much so that the test scores have skewed over and above upwards. So usually a test score needs to be as a bell curve, right? Very few students doing really well, very few students doing not really well, and most of them around the average. But the test scores had been becoming more skewed towards the better scoring section because people have understood how to do well in the exam. And with the advent of AI, there are certain question types which are no longer relevant for a successful business profession anymore. And the scores algorithm has also been reset to give universities a better understanding of the current standing of the candidates that they are going to take into their programs abroad. And the improvements have been made with the help of student as well as university feedback, so it's more university as well as student friendly. And there's a new section which we spoke about earlier. And why am I saying it's better for test takers? Because the oral exam first is shorter duration, so you don't have to break your head for 3 hours. Now you just need to break it for slightly lesser duration, but that's a relief for you, right? You don't have to take the entire stress for a longer duration. And there are fewer sections overall. Earlier they were slightly higher number of sections, but even though now there is a different new section, still the overall number of sections are lower. And the most favorite change from my side is that there is no geometry anymore in the quantitative aptitude section. Do you know, I don't know any business person or any university MBA graduate who needs to know geometry to do well in anything, right? So how is geometry going to help you in any way if you're going to run a business, right? It's not going to, unless you're going to run I don't know, I can't think of any scenario. And there is a sentence correction as well. Because with the advent of AI, you don't need to be specific or you don't need to be extremely skilled with those dots and exclamations and commas anymore. The AI is going to take care of you for that. And you can now take the test in any order you want. You can first take the quant and then the verbal and then the data insights, or the data insights first if you're less confident about it, and then tackle the easier ones later because you will have lesser brain power at the end of the section. Whichever suits you, you can strategize according to your specific needs. You could also bookmark questions now, which was not possible earlier. You can bookmark as many questions as you want, but you can only change answers for up to 3 questions per section. So before moving on to a next section, you can always come back if you have the time and change the answers for up to 3 questions if you want to do so, which is really good, especially in the pressure that you are to complete all the questions since there's a penalty for unanswered questions, right? And earlier you had to send your scores, you first had to choose the colleges before you start the exam. You don't really know how you perform, but you still had to choose the colleges. But now you can send your scores after you've seen the score that you obtained, so that you don't probably have to embarrass yourself that you have a low score but you're still going to send it to college. You don't have to do that anymore. It's again test taker friendly. And you're also going to get a very detailed performance insights at the end of this exam, where you're going to be given performance with section wise and question wise and multiple other ways, which is going to really help you if you are going to plan to take this exam again. You are given a detailed insight without even having to attend the coaching center right by the GMAT exam itself. So coming to sections and scoring, we have the two very common sections across all exams, which is the quantitative reasoning and the verbal reasoning, and this is the new section called data insights. So the quant section now has 21 questions to be answered in 45 minutes, giving you around 128 seconds per question, which is just over 2 minutes. For the verbal reasoning, you have around 23 questions to be answered in 45 minutes, gives you around 117 seconds per question, just little less than 2 minutes. And 20 questions to be answered in 45 minutes for the data insights section, which gives you around 2.5 minutes per question. So overall, the exam is giving you more time per question than was previously given. And that's again a positive for the test takers. And there is also fewer number of sections overall, and you can choose the order of the questions, order the sections, as well as you can bookmark questions to be answered at the end. And you can change your answers. So I see a lot of bright things overall for this exam. Great, so let's talk a little bit about each section further. What is the quantitative reasoning section? It measures your algebraic and arithmetic foundational knowledge. That is the intent of this section. It's not going to, and the bigger intent is to measure your logic and analytical skills, not the underlying math skills. This has been taken from the official GMAT website. So the intent, understand the intent behind any examination, right? So they are trying to analyze if you will be able to fit in with the curriculum and the syllabus that they have to offer in the MBA program, right? So if they feel that you're not able to cope with the syllabus and the curriculum that they have, then what is the point of giving you the seat, right? So this is a basic test of logic and analysis and not the underlying math, because that's what you need to survive and even thrive in a business career or in a business program. And you cannot use a calculator in this section. You can use in the data insight section. Again, verbal reasoning. What is the point of testing something like this, right? So in a business profession, you will have to read a lot of heavy documentation, business cases, business proposals, and your legal documents, and probably have to learn a lot about a new industry or a new product. So you need to do a lot of reading and be able to quickly analyze and interpret that and critically think about every single word and every single sentence that you might be reading, right? That's a very crucial skill for any business person or even an entrepreneur or a CEO or a CFO. That's why this exam is testing these skills, and it's basically testing your reasoning and argument evaluation skills from what you can read and understand. It has about 23 questions, all of which is going to be about reading comprehension or critical reasoning. And the third section, the new section, intent is to measure the candidate's ability to analyze and interpret data and digital and data literacy. That is the point of this section. So this section is going to have 5 different types of questions. The first type is called data sufficiency. So these type of questions are not intended towards finding the answer, but rather being able to analyze if the given data in the question is even enough for you to be able to answer the question. Is the data sufficient? You need to be able to come to a conclusion if the data is sufficient or not actually finding the answer. And then second type is multi-source reasoning. So in this type of question, you will be given different kinds of data sources like a paragraph and a table and a graph, multiple different types, and you will have to condense and make it a coherent understanding of what different data is telling you and be able to come to relevant conclusions and arguments for you to support your new answer. And the third type and fourth type are pretty straightforward. You'll be given a table to analyze from, and you'll be given a graph to analyze from. And the fifth type is really interesting because this is called a two-part analysis. So in this type of question, you will have both a verbal reasoning as well as a quantitative reasoning question. So it's a combination of the two previous sections, you could say, and this I feel is a really interesting section. So we will be doing a very detailed analysis on every single type of question, and we'll be giving you multiple different examples of every single type of question along with solved questions. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to be the first ones to get access to those videos. Let's now talk about the scoring system changes. The total score of the GMAT exam previously was usually numbers like 630, 625. So they were varying in increments of 5, starting from 200 all the way up to 800. So a 780 plus was an incredibly good score. A 720 was a very good score. Anything below 720 wouldn't get you into the best colleges, but anything above 680 was seemed to be as a really good score. But as the test got through its later years, more and more people were scoring above 750, and the test takers decided it's time for a new exam. So now the score ranges between 205 to 805 in intervals of 10. So that means you can either get a 735 or a 745 and not a 730. And this is something which is interesting because they mentioned that the standard error of measurement is about 30 to 40 points. So what does this mean? Any test can't exactly measure your actual ability to a pinpointed accuracy, right? It's a rough approximation of what your actual ability is because it depends on that day, your stress levels, your mental capacity on that day, what you ate the previous day, maybe even the algorithm, the kind of questions that you were thrown at that point in time. Maybe they weren't the best questions, maybe they were too easy for you. There could be a lot of variation, but they are saying that it varies between 30 to 40 points. So that means if your score is 725, your actual ability varies between 695 to a 755. So that's the standard error of measurement that they're talking about. And the quantitative reasoning score varies between 60 to 90 points with an interval of 1. So 61, 62 all the way up to 90. And the same for the verbal reasoning as well as the data insights section. So what next for you? What should you be doing next? If you have decided to go for an international MBA or maybe a PGPX MBA in India, first thing you need to do is set a target date for your exam so that you can prepare accordingly. Think about the colleges that you want to target and think about your target score that you might need to hit those colleges, which we'll also be launching some videos to be able to understand that for you. We'll also be doing live sessions, so stay tuned for that. And make a preparation plan according to your target date and target score. Register for the exam. You all have an option between an online option as well as an offline option. I personally prefer the online option because I get to sit in the comfort of my home in a known surrounding, in a known distraction environment where I can control a lot of the distractions much better. But yeah, whatever suits you. And study. There's nothing else you could do to get better scores, right? And we are here to help you out with whatever you want and rock the exam and then choose your colleges, and that's it, you're off to your MBA. All the best. I wish you all the success for the GMAT and your college preparations. Make sure to like, share and subscribe this video so that it can reach more people, and stay tuned for our upcoming videos. Have a nice day.